Narrative for trading. It's that accumulation narrative for trading. And the other time, the idea of fundamentals, and this is a fundamentally driven trade, cable's been dropping on the back of pure strength carry, but I see the pound as a buy trade. So I'm going to be watching for biddable opportunities today. So obviously we saw the pure strength coming in and we saw that sell off. That was okay. We expected that. That was the Bank of England rate decision, but it wasn't outside the extremes. So I can still fade that data. And you'll see that the difference is that's not outside the extremes. What do we mean it's not outside the extremes? Well, when you look at today's Bank of England numbers, there is an extreme number that we have to pay attention to, isn't there? There's an extreme number. So what is the extreme number? Well, the extreme number is just the extreme number. When we look at the idea of what we were wanting, it wasn't outside of what we expected. So that's obviously going to be a good thing. What an extreme number was today's US initial jobless claims, right? So you see the difference? The US initial jobless claims had an extreme number. It was a lot higher than even the highest forecast. So because that was a lot higher than even the highest forecast, you're not going to sell NASDAQ. You're not going to sell gold. You're going to buy NASDAQ. You're going to buy gold. You're going to buy bonds. You're not going to fade that data because it's outside the extreme. So therefore, you don't know where the extreme is. Nobody knows where the extreme is until there is a confluence of opinion from the traders that that is now the extreme. And we don't know that in advance. We only know that in hindsight. When we see the big arrival coming in of volumes, when we see the level 2s forming at the top edges. So this is what we're seeing. We're seeing a push through. So in other words, what we should be trying to do is we should be buying pullbacks on bonds, equities, gold, those types of markets, or buying pullbacks on the pound against the dollar, for example, at 1:30. No shit, Sherlock. Obviously, we were looking to buy pullbacks in this trade anyway because we were buying dips. We already had this price level marked on the screens. We had that beautiful reversal order block just there, if you like. And obviously coming into the data, the idea was that we were wanting to be long anyway. But obviously when the data hit, your idea is I'm not going to fade this. I'm going to try and drive this as much as possible. So you try and buy into the pound at higher prices regardless. And obviously, you were still able to make quite a big splash on the trade away from that price. It's kind of crazy how easy it was when you think about it. So when you look at things like the NASDAQ, you'll see exactly the same type of storyline. The idea is you do not want to fade this NASDAQ. So does everybody see where you could have bought it? Does everybody see where you could have bought it? Well, you'll probably see where the sellers get bought here. Is that pretty visible? See it? See that level there? Everybody see it? Everybody recognize it? So did everybody pay attention to it then? Only one person can see that. Okay, so we might have to make it a little bit clearer. That's a key level. That is where sellers are getting purchased by the buyers who are trading this for follow through. So if you can see it, you can deal it. It's on your bloody Sierra charts. You can't not see it. So this is your buy level, right? This is going to be the price you now come into and buy it again at that stage, or at this stage here, or at this stage here. This is the price you buy at. And the takeaway from those buy trades has been pretty good. We covered this before, by the way, guys. This is not new news, and this is not new information. Well, that buy trade was worth $400, and that buy trade was worth $400, and that buy trade was worth $400. So, and according to my arithmetic on this, that's around about $1 billion of upside profits. Well, it's only going to be $1 billion of upside profits if you actually take action on that trade and take massive advantage of the fact that this is a follow-through narrative, something we have covered many times in a room already. So it's not hidden from view. And what did I say? After a follow-through piece of data, find that price. We don't know how far down it's going to be. It could be within, we said within 5 minutes, you'll find that price. So when you look at it, you can recognize it. You just have to find it. And then you start working bids. You work bids. You work bids. And obviously, once the data's out the way, that's it. You've seen the extreme. You've seen a level 2 now. You don't have to try again. You've finished for that trade at the moment. And you've made your money. You've made $1,200 after the data, not before the data. You made $1,200 after the data. Well, the good news for us was we were already long anyway, because we were long from 18,130. So we ended up making 70 points or $1,400 on the swing. And when you look at that as a storyline as well, this is not hidden from view. We called this in advance. Been a seller at 130 in the last half hour, so mark this level as a buy side, sell side level. In other words, there's a seller in here, but if they go away, and you can see with that fast money rejection in the top right-hand hold, it's a high probability that they're going to go away. So you can obviously now see this, not reselling this test, watching at the moment to see if it pops, and if they come back into it, and you can see it popped, they came back into it, it popped, they came back into it, and you made a fortune off of that bit of business. And then, of course, following the data release, you've then been able to buy the NASDAQ here, and then again here for twice. And each of those occasions, you've made an absolute killing on the NASDAQ. Massive upside profits, easy trade levels, tweeted in advance, classroomed in advance, not in hindsight. This classroom was in advance. We did all of that work when we talked about these follow-through data releases, the lightning bolts, if you like. We did an entire classroom on it. An entire classroom. We did about an hour on it because that's all it needed to be was an hour. And it's made you thousands of dollars by following the classroom data. Thousands. And there's the big one. If you decided to implement what we teach. And if you didn't implement what you teach, what is the point of you being here if it's not to use the stuff that you learn? What's the point? There's no point, is there? You need to use this stuff. You need to be able to see this stuff. You need to be able to recognize this easy trade idea. You need to put money on the line and start monetizing these alpha elements, these alpha components, because these all create alpha. This tweet is creating alpha. This tweet is creating alpha for you. You've got to monetize it by then doing the deal based on the fact that we've created alpha for you, specially. I can't reach through and press the button for you. You've still got to make that decision for yourself.